my Instagram page got permanently deleted by Instagram.
Crazy. Part of it as well is that you have an advantage over the corporate who can't fail that
At
often,
all.
that quick, at all.
If you start marketing to their wants, you're able to land them as a client because you're connecting to their emotional buyer, because so many of us are emotional buyers.
Hey small business heroes, welcome to our first external guest of the Latitude Accountants podcast. Here at Latitude Accountants, we believe that the small business owner is the hero of our community, and we are fortunate enough to interact with hundreds of small business heroes every single day. In this podcast, we will be showcasing our local small business heroes and talking all things business, money, and tax. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of welcoming Monique Forcella, aka the Socialista. Monique came from humble beginnings where she had to grow into a young woman pretty quickly, and that she did, defying all odds to become a self-made seven-figure business owner by the young age of 27. Since 2020, also known as the COVID year, Monique has built the Socialista, a hard-hitting social media growth agency, launched multiple courses which have served over 1,500 students, and somehow still finds time to speak internationally, sharing her expertise on all things social media marketing and Instagram, having been recognized by Meta itself as a Reels Pro. Now you might be thinking, that's a big intro with some pretty big claims, but rest assured, as both her clients and accountant from day one, I can confirm she is the real deal. With that being said, Monique Forcella, how are you?
Good. How are you? What an intro.
Very good. Oh, I do my best. I do a bit of research. And
It's like you know me.
Oh, it's like I've been your accountant for a few years.
Maybe.
Yeah. Look, I do have to do a bit of research before we have these podcasts. I'm not someone who can just rock up and ad lib. So as I do, I go into Google, I go into YouTube, and I search your name, Monique Lombardo, the Socialista, and see what we can find. And I had a good idea of a few questions I was going to ask you. So I'll start off with this. As I was doing the research, I go into YouTube and I find a video of you going through, this was 8 years ago, by the way.
Tragic.
Yeah.
These videos, I know exactly which videos you're talking about.
Yes,
they
I'm
are
glad you
tragic.
do.
Uni days, doing uni assignments, videos for that. And oh my gosh, I can't believe you watched those.
So in a bit of prep, or some people might not know, we asked you a few questions. Who were you in high school? And I was surprised. I thought you were the popular kid, full of energy, a bit of a leader. And then you replied back to me and said, I wasn't that popular. I was a straight A student. I was more of a nerd. I didn't get it until I started YouTubing Monique and seeing her 8 years ago. And look, it's all coming together. So anyway, on the video, you talk about some of the odds you had to defy to get into uni. You were one of the first in your family to even be applying. Do you want to open up a little bit about your upbringing, your childhood, who you were growing up, and some of the things you had to overcome?
Yeah, I actually totally even forgot about that. I am the first in my family, both sides, to go to university. I got in on early entry, which was insane. So I didn't actually need to sit the HSC at all because I was in, which was great. Okay. My upbringing was a little bit different. I feel like it was very much, I came from a divorced family. So at the age of 7, my parents got divorced and my dad moved overseas. And so it was just my mum, my brother and I for the longest time ever. And I loved it. It was great. And it meant that we could really just sort of be together. But it meant that it came with its challenges. And we were never ones to really want a lot of things because we knew that we couldn't have everything. And I also love that at the same time because it meant that we had to work for what we wanted. We weren't those spoiled kids who just got everything that we wanted. We had to work for it. And I think that's a really great thing that was instilled into me when I was young that I move into as an older person. So yeah, I think it's very much like I knew the value of hard work and where that gets you. My mum started her business just as my parents got divorced, and she worked every single day, like 8 a.m. till 2:30 a.m. every single day, and still managed to take me to school and to dancing, to my brother to soccer. And she really showed me the value of hard work and getting to where you want to go. And so she was able to then take us on family holidays and take us to Disneyland, which was so great. And I was like, I just want to be like her when I'm older. Just defy the odds, because I've been able to defy the odds because she defied the odds, and she showed me that it is possible, that you can be a woman, you can start your own business, you can be the breadwinner of your family, and you can take control of your life and see incredible things happen. So I owe so much of my life to her.
I love that. And I love, I've met your woman, your mum personally, and she's an incredible woman. And you can see that you draw a lot of inspiration from her. I often think as well, one of the hardest things for a wealthy family is to teach their children the value of hard work and having to get them to work for things. It's actually such a privilege to some degree, growing up without much and having to make things happen on yourself. Gives you that independence, which I'm sure you sort of needed when you started your business. I know you talk a lot about you never really wanted to start a business. It wasn't a thing. And then you were sort of put in a corner where we'll get into it in a moment, but you felt like this was time, you were ready, and you were able to solve a problem and get out there. There's a great book I'll mention. I'm full of books, but there was one of them that says it's the ultimate. There's a book called The Ultimate Gift, and it's the story of a guy passing away with a massive estate, and then he passes. They're splitting up his estate amongst his family, but to one of the children, he gave them 12 different values. And it's explored in the book. It's a great book. You should all read it. And so one of the greatest gifts is that self-made, is that hard work, is that independence, and just getting yourself out there, having a crack and seeing what happens. So I love that. Now you finish uni. You're in corporate. You do marketing. You're the creative type. It makes sense. There are a few people. I'll mention one here. Tufik Haddad was born to be an accountant.
Yep.
You could just
black and white.
That's it. That's exactly right. And he's if I were to paint a picture of a typical accountant, I would expect to see Tufik Haddad come up. A bit more charisma and personality, but that's him. So you, I think, are just such a creative, such a strategic mind, empathetic. Would always have made a great marketer, would make a lot of great things, but I think marketing was your jam. Talk to me about the transition from working corporate and then setting up the Socialista. And I just want to preface that with another question. It's a saturated space to some degree. I feel like everyone just thinks anyone with an iPhone can get on there and just do social media. What made you different? What made you succeed? And what problem were you solving when you first started the Socialista?
I love this. I first want to preface it with, I never wanted to be a marketer. That was never in my entire life. Okay. And I never wanted to be a business owner at all. Like, they had business studies at school and I was like, screw that. That's boring, numbers and all this stuff. No, I'm going to go take art. See you later. Yeah. So I was definitely very much the creative. I did English Extension 2. I did a creative essay. I did art. And I did all these things. And so I decided, well, what am I going to do after school? What am I going to do in uni? And I said that I loved English. I love people. I love talking to people. I love understanding their story and how they got to where they are. Let me do journalism. So I started a journalism degree, and I very quickly realized I did not like the competitiveness inside journalism and the dog-eat-dog world, how just crazy it was. And so I decided, okay, well, let me try digital marketing as one of the classes. Fell in love, absolutely loved it, loved videos, loved just content creation. And so I fell down that route. I ended up finishing uni and starting a job, and I was there for a few months, and it was like high school. I cannot believe, I loved the work was great, but the job itself was just a nightmare. I did not love it at all. I said to myself, in 2 weeks on this Friday, I'm going to leave. And it got to that point, and
How many Fridays was that in a
row? My goodness.
It was that one Friday, and it just kept being the next Friday I'm going to leave, the next Friday I'm going to leave.
It's so funny because it was that Friday.
Oh, there you go.
It was the two Fridays from that day, and I said, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Yeah. Just, stick it out. Because I'm very much the person that I'm resilient. I can do anything. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. And that Friday we had the conversation, and that was it. We finished up, and I was like, that was a massive weight off my shoulders, and I had no idea what I wanted to do next. I had an idea that I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start something. I'm going to bring social media to the area. Because I worked sort of near the city, and I live about an hour away out in Camden. And there were so many incredible businesses out my way, but they didn't know how to use social media. Their Instagram was terrible. So I decided, okay, well, I want to be that person for quote unquote the working class, or quote unquote the people who live out in the West. And so I decided to do that part-time. I had one foot in, one foot out. I was working as a part-time marketer as well, and had the Socialista on the side, always with the intention that the Socialista would become a full-time thing, but also skeptical at the same time. So I had one foot in, one foot out. And I think at that time this was back in 2018, not many people were doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
There were maybe
pre-COVID,
pre-online,
pre-digital,
hey, you can get a laptop and work.
Yeah.
No way. So I started, and it was very much word of mouth and friends and family and things like that, which is really great. And it grew really quickly. And so by 2020, just before COVID happened, I started going full time. Then COVID happened. I lost all my clients, and I was like, what's going on? Yeah. But I didn't freak out specifically. But yeah. And then I think coming to that fact of now, where it's so the barrier to entry is non-existent. You have a degree, you've got a laptop, you've got a phone, go. Yeah. It is so much more than that. And I think if I didn't have experience sort of in the corporate world, I probably wouldn't be able to have as many sort of skills to be able to build upon that. But I think people just think, well, I have a degree and I can create some content, it's going to be great, but you don't have the strategic side, and you don't have, okay, well, what are the moving pieces that are going to help that client get to that goal? So that client has a goal of X amount of, sales, or they want brand awareness, or they want to grow their business. One video about, hey, here are our services does not cut it.
So you're telling me I can't just give my Instagram to my admin and get them to post, and I won't get millions of clients? Is that what you said? That's shocking.
Go ahead.
News.
Go ahead.
That's outrageous to me, because often people who aren't used to social media, people who don't understand the digital landscape, who don't understand identifying your dream client or your target. I know you have some thoughts on dream clients, which I want to talk about in a moment. Taking them through the story and taking them from awareness to actually closing. There's so much more behind it. And so, it's important to have a good understanding, either gain some understanding yourself or have a good agency that's willing to take that strategic approach and guide you through it. When I look at your business, I see sort of you could almost have three businesses in one.
Yeah.
The Socialista sort of does three things, right? It does social media management, and SMM is what we call it.
Yeah.
It also does consulting and SSS, which is the Social Standout Squad. I'm sure you'll have a few thoughts to add about that later. And then you have the course creation business, where you launch courses, for example, Rise with Drills, and your latest course is called Launch It.
Launch It.
Very good. So I want to ask you a question or two about each service offering, just so the audience knows what the Socialista is and what it does. In terms of social media management, can you talk to me a little bit about the first sort of things you see that people go wrong with on their Instagram? I guess sort of the three mistakes. I know we had a ton, but the three mistakes that people make when they're on Instagram.
I love this. So the biggest mistake that I see so many people making when it comes to social media in their business is they think one post is going to blow up their business. Yeah. And they think it's as easy as just uploading one post and uploading one post and uploading one post, and just not really having a strategy to it. You're just winging it. You're uploading anything at any time and just crossing your fingers hoping it's going to work, when in actual fact there needs to be a journey that you take your audience on, from a cold audience member to a hot audience member. And so it's really important to strategically place your content so you're able to build that know, like, and trust factor. You're able to attract your client, nurture them, and then sell to them in a linear way. So I think that's the biggest mistake so many people make. It's just, one post I'm going to upload, here's another post I'm going to upload. Why isn't it working? Well, it's because there's no actual plan behind it. It's just posting whatever and hoping it's going to work. So that's the first thing I see so many people go wrong with. Number two, not utilizing Instagram stories. Instagram stories is your hottest audience. You might find that your Instagram stories have low views. Maybe you have 200 people viewing your Instagram stories. Maybe you have 1,000. Maybe you have 60 people. But those 60 people are the hottest people in your world. Yeah. And if you want to make a sale, or if you want to really build your know, like, and trust factor, your Instagram stories is going to be the place to do it, because those people are hot. They're ready to go. They love you already. So don't neglect your Instagram stories, and they don't need to be prim and proper. They can just be so natural, so raw, real, and authentic. And that's what your audience is really wanting to see. And thirdly, caption writing.
You can't just use ChatGPT. My God,
please.
Monique. AI was going to solve all our problems.
I will go to the grave with this. Yeah. You cannot use ChatGPT to copy and paste a bloody caption and think, yep, that's going to do well.
We're quoting that, Monique 2024. AI will not solve your caption writing. ChatGPT will not solve your caption writing. I love it.
Here's a little sort of insight. I just have come off the back of hiring a new team member, which is really exciting. And we sent out a questionnaire to all of the candidates saying, hey, here's an example of a client. Here's an example of a kind of caption we'd like for you to write. Can you write this caption? 97% of the applications that came through had just copied and pasted the prompt that I gave them, threw that straight into ChatGPT, and copied and pasted the answer and put it straight into my application.
There you go.
Because I got every single application with the exact same caption.
There you go.
And I was like, what is happening? Where is... And I was talking to Anthony, my husband, about this, and he's like, caption writing and that creative side is starting to become a bit more of a dying aspect. Yeah. And you either need to learn how to prompt ChatGPT incredibly well, or start using your creative thinking and your critical thinking, because yes, we can really resort to ChatGPT to do the basics and things like that. But at the end of the day, people are coming to Instagram for you. People are working with you for you, not because some ChatGPT algorithm decided that's going to be you. So don't forget to inject you into there. Don't forget to inject your personality and who you are and what your brand stands for, because that's what your audience is buying. They're not buying the fact that you can do tax returns and the fact that you can bake a cake. They're buying you, because there are so many business owners out there that do what you do. Yeah. And what differentiates you is you.
100%. So, and I think the fear of, number one, I don't believe in the fear of AI taking all your jobs and whatever. I think, thousands of years ago, the Assyrians created the wheel, and all the farmers thought they were going to be out of business because this wheelbarrow could come and dominate the supply chain and whatever. And we're at the most technologically advanced society I think that's ever existed, and our unemployment rate in Australia is 3.5%. So what that sort of tells me is, with more technology, there's actually more jobs that are created, and the unemployment rate might actually go down instead of going up. And I think that's something you do really well in terms of injecting your personality into your brand, so much so that your brand is almost a reflection of who you are as a person and your energy and your creativity and everything you bring to the table. And obviously, I think in a more automated world, literally sometimes all you have left is that unique fingerprint that no one else can sort of replace. And I reckon if you put 5 social media posts in front of me, I could tell which one Monique wrote. I could even, like, some of your clients' posts, I'm like, oh, that's a Socialista managed client. I get that. I'll verify it with your accounting and be like, oh, yeah, my hypothesis was correct. No, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay. So,
all the time. All the time. You're a sneak. You're a sneak. But it's true, though. Yeah. It's true. You sort of start to develop your own tone and your own personality, 100%. And you become, your brand starts to build an identity.
100%.
And if you can't build a brand identity, you're the same as everyone else. Yeah. So you've got a few years in business and then done. Yeah, that's it, right? 100%. I think the most important thing right now, especially in the age of AI and oversaturation of businesses in every industry, really, it's you. It's being able to build that brand identity. And for example, like today I'm here wearing pink because that's my brand, right? You need to show up as your brand in every single facet of your life, both online and offline. And so you'll find that in a lot of my Instagram reels, I'll be wearing pink, black, or white because they're my brand colors. You'll find that I'll have my captions in a certain way where I'm really conversational, really authoritative, but also very approachable at the same time. You'll find that when you're talking to me or when I'm on Instagram stories or on a live video, you're going to get me. And the thing that people say to me all the time is, oh my gosh, you're the same in person as you are online.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think your audience quickly gathers if this is you legit or if this is you putting on a show.
Yeah.
And so often the more corporate brands that try to put on this persona and whatever, I think there's a bit of disconnect, because unless you truly are that person, I think the consumer sees through. There's so much on there. But you are someone, and I have there's another question about this, but you are so genuine in what you see is what you get, the energy you have online when you walk in we have reel shoots with Monique once every 4 to 6 weeks, and the energy you bring is the same energy you would bring when you're doing an Instagram story. So it's authentic the whole way through. The brand is there the whole way through, and even down to the clothing selection for the podcast. So I appreciate that. There's some of the mistakes that people would make in social media. If I'm a small business owner listening to this and I'm thinking, okay, I need traction on my Instagram. I'm trying to post. I know one of the things we did wrong as well was I did so much educational content without ever taking them through the journey and actually being able to ask for a sale. Or some business owners do too much of the sale. They've added very little value and think they can just post and say, oh, by the way, here's our number, call us for X, Y, and Z, right? What is the one thing that business owners can do today that will have the most impact for the least amount of investment or time or energy?
I love this. The first thing that every business owner needs to do is establish what their goal is.
Right.
You have 3 main goals when it comes to social media: attract dream clients, nurture dream clients, or sell to dream clients. You've got 3 goals. You can't sell to an audience that isn't there. So you need to establish, where are you in this journey? So think about it as those 3 goals are 3 steps in order. Right. And so if you have no audience there, then your goal should be to attract that dream audience, to attract that client. So really top of funnel content is really important there to be able to attract the right person to your brand. So that's the first step, and making sure you're really crystal clear on who you're attracting, because you might be sitting here thinking, well, I'm an accountant. I can work with every client.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not the case, because your client doesn't want to work with someone who just services everyone. They want to work with a specialist.
Correct.
You wouldn't go to a normal GP to get brain surgery.
Yeah.
You'd go to a brain surgeon to
100%.
get brain surgery because you have a specific outcome that you want to achieve. So really getting crystal clear on who your target audience is to be able to attract that dream client in that first stage. Let's say, for example, you've now attracted the audience, you've got some people in there, you want to nurture them, you want to show them that you are the leader, you know what you're talking about, you are the bee's knees in the industry. And so that's where that educational content comes in. The biggest mistake that you see so many clients or so many business owners making right now is that they focus too much on that middle of funnel, that educational content, which means they're not actually attracting new people. They're just talking the same. They're talking to the same kinds of people all the time, the same thing, but they don't actually sell to them, which is the third pillar of that, which is once you've got the audience, once they have trust in you, the third stage is, okay, well, let's show them what we can do, how we can help them. And I think the biggest area that people go wrong in this third stage is that they assume that their audience knows exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They assume that their audience knows how to get in contact with them. And the fact that they assume that their audience is all at the exact same point in their buyer's journey. And so it's really about thinking about what your audience's pain points are and what their dream points are. And it's not about putting up a post up on Instagram and saying, hey, we do your tax at the end of the year, come and book in your tax. No one's buying tax. No one's buying a tax return.
Yeah. It's actually quite entitled even to think you can just post and just say, oh, by the way, we do tax returns. Pay our fees. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, pay $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do your tax.
Yeah.
100%. See you later, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. If you need to really think about, again, that target audience, what are they wanting? What's their dream? What are they wanting to achieve? What are they struggling with right now? What are their roadblocks? What are their objections to working with an agency or a business just like yours? Yeah. And then you speak to those points in your content, because that's what your audience wants. That's what your audience needs. And that's what you're going to sell to, because going back to the idea of wants and needs, when you're putting up a post that says, I do this, come work with me, here's my phone number, bye. Yeah. You're speaking to what they need. Yeah. You know everyone needs a tax return, right? If you're a business owner, you need your taxes done. Yeah. It's a no-brainer. But the difference between a business that actually gets clients and a business that doesn't is the fact that they're able to tap into what their audience wants, not what they need. And so, for example, if you're a person who owns a gym and you're talking about the gym membership, yes, we have 72 pieces of equipment. We're open 24/7, and you're going to get access to our state-of-the-art water filtration system. Yeah, your audience, they need that to be able to go to the gym and lose weight and tone up and be the person they want to be. But what they really want is a different story. They want to feel good. They want to feel confident in their skin. They want to lose that baby weight that they gained while they were pregnant. They want to be the best version of themselves. Maybe they want to look great for summer. So if you start marketing to their wants, you're able to land them as a client because you're connecting to their emotional buyer, because so many of us are emotional buyers. And when you start connecting to that emotional buyer and what they actually want, you're able to get more sales through the door.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's I have a hypothesis on why everyone's so educational. Couple things. One is Gary Vee was very value, jab, jab, jab. No one read the right hook. He did 3/4 of the book was about jabbing and there was 1/4 about right hooking, which I think is actually, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts, but there is some sort of a formula. You don't want all of your content to be educational. You don't want all of your content to be selling. There's the journey that you just spoke about. So that's important. I actually think I studied in America for 6 months. I traveled a lot of America.
Oh, look at you, fancy.
Do you know what I mean? Doing just exchange, this and that, Oregon State University, shout out, go Beavs. So in America, their selling is just on another planet.
Yeah, it's next level.
Yeah, the way they sell, the way they're sold to, their service, it's just ridiculous. They're savage, absolute savages in their selling. But in Australia, we have the complete opposite. Anyone that sells here is kind of, I don't know, no one likes to be sold to in Australia. It could be true across the globe, but I just find Australians generally are very much, hey, we do this, but if you don't want to buy it, it's okay. It's up to you, whatever. And they're very blasé about actually making a sale, actually making a deal. The best analogy I can use is the Australian dream is to buy a home. We want to buy a home, we want to have a roof over our head, and we want to go to work and come back home. The American dream is to start a business, to change a generation, to absolutely go out and be a savage. So I feel like just throughout that culture, Aussies and Aussie businesses are let's just educate the market, add value, which is amazing. You should be doing those things. But there should also be a balance of, okay, you're trying to, for this business to success, to have success, and for this business to survive, you need to make sales, you need to have the money coming through, you need to be able to pay the staff, you need to be able to pay the rent, and do all the things, right? So that's my hypothesis. Have you got any thoughts around that?
In Australia, we have a thing called tall poppy syndrome.
Correct, yeah.
And I think that's a really big underlying factor as to why we don't actively sell and we don't actually know how to sell as well. Yeah. And I think we see perhaps the American style of marketing and selling as very icky, as 100%. very bro marketing. Yeah. We are straight up against bro marketing. It is a straight no. Yeah. And so we automatically default to, okay, well, let's give value. Let's educate. And so it's a complete polar opposite when in fact you can do both because selling is serving. Yeah. 100%. Right?
That's the Australian way to sell, in my opinion.
Exactly right. That's the Australian way to sell, because when you come from a place of, I want to serve my audience and I want to be of service to them. I want to transform their lives. I want to help them reach the next level. I want to be the solution to their problem. Yeah. It becomes a whole different game. Yeah. And that's when you're able to unlock that sort of explosion of sales in your business. And so, look, I'm not going to lie. When I first started my business, and I think this is a very big reason as to how I've been able to grow the business how I have, I would say the first year and a half, I didn't sell at all, not once. Yeah. I educated my audience. Granted, the first year and a half of my business, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, which is a great reflection as to what a lot of businesses do with their marketing. Yeah. And so I was educating my audience. I'd post on Instagram once, maybe twice a week if I was lucky. And it was very blasé. It was very, people don't really want to hear from me. Do they want to really be sold to? If I just educate them, then they'll see the value in what I do. If I educate them, then they'll say, oh, wow, she knows what she's talking about. Let me purchase from her. And to an extent, it's true. look at all this value she's giving away for free. Imagine what she could do if I pay her.
Yeah.
And so there is an element of that, definitely. But it gets to a point where you can't rely on educational content anymore. And if you're wanting,
doesn't pay the bills.
Correct. And if you're wanting to go to the next level, which I saw a massive difference. I was making, in my first year of business, I made $18,000. In my second year of business, I made around $87,000. And in those 2 years of business, I was doing that. I was educating and waiting for people to come to me. The next year, I think from memory, I either went to 180, and the year after that I went to 360. And this is all as a solopreneur. So it's just me. And I think I had a VA at the time as well. And the biggest shift that happened for me was the fact that I was able to niche down really specifically into what I do and who I serve. And I was able to start integrating marketing content into there and actually have something to sell. Not just assume that my audience knows all the services that I have and hope to God that someone will purchase from me, but instead shout it to the rooftops and do it in a way that serves my audience, not just saying, hey, I can create reels for you, come and buy from me. It's like, hey, you have this problem, I have this solution, let's come together and let's have a party. So it's a very different way of approaching it, and that has been the biggest catalyst for me to be able to build that 7-figure business. Not being afraid to sell and looking and changing that perspective from it's selling to I'm actually serving.
100%. I love that. You talked a bit about, and this will be the last question on the social media management client because there's so much more I actually want to get into, but you talk about your customer, the persona you're trying to target, your audience, but you have a unique way in doing it in that you talk about psychographics a lot.
Yes.
And that's part of, I want to tap into your strategic brain. Talk to me a little bit about the psychographics of your target audience as opposed to the demographics.
Marketing has changed a lot in the past few years. We are at the rate, we are at lightning speed at the moment when it comes to the evolution and changes that are happening within the landscape. And so 10 years ago, it was easy enough to say that my ideal client is a 30 to 40-year-old woman who stays at home, they have 3 kids, and they bake cookies on the weekend. Yeah. It was so easy to say that was my client and be like, cool, I can create content for that person or create an advertisement for them and they're going to buy. Your audience is savvy now. Your audience knows, and your audience is very multifaceted. And so they do a lot of things at once. So they aren't no longer that stay-at-home mum. They are the one that is starting a business and they are doing all these cool things. And so we can no longer say that that's just our demographics. So your psychographics need to dive deeper now. And so when I talk about psychographics, we're talking about what did they dream of? What do they really want? Because purchasing decisions are based on what your audience wants. And so we dive deeper into that. And then psychographics also talks about what are their pain points? What are they struggling with right now? How can you tap into those points to really create an emotion to get them to move? Because right now there's such an oversaturation of choice. There's analysis paralysis. There are so many different options that you can choose when it comes to buying something. And so if you have content that speaks to the psychographics of that audience, you're going to win every single time, as opposed to just saying, hey, you're a single mum, buy this. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, you're a single mum who has dreams of re-entering the workforce, but you don't know how to do it because you've got 2 young kids that are in primary school. So you're already talking to that person. I
feel like the single mum.
Right?
Can I buy your course, by the way?
Yes, buy it. Okay, come on in.
Yes.
But it's like you get to a point where your audience thinks, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me. Yeah. We're no longer blanketing everyone together, and we're no longer throwing out a fishing line and hoping that anyone who's a single mum is going to be caught in this fishing line and buy my thing. Yeah. Now we're getting even more specific, and I think the biggest thing that I see so much happening in business is that people think that if I throw a smaller net to get more specific in the people that I'm bringing in, I'm going to lose business, and I don't want to do that. I was in this position early on in my business too, when in actual fact it's the other way around. The more specific you get, you're able to open a door to all these people that also resonate with that. Yeah, 100%. Because if I was to say, hey, if you're a woman who's 30, come buy this. You're thinking, oh, well, I'm a woman who's 30, but do they know that I also run a business? Do they know that I also look after my sick mum? Do they also know that I do X, Y, Z? But when you start creating content that says, hey, are you a single mother who wants to re-enter the workforce, but you don't know how to do it with young kids, here's a course that's going to help you do that. You're like, oh my gosh, take my money.
Yeah, 100%.
You get instant sales.
Yeah.
It's no longer maybe, or I'll research the market. It's a heck yes, I want this right now, sign me up.
100%. So as the old saying goes, you purchase with emotion and you rationalize with logic. And I think all the things you just talked about, I felt the emotion of a single mum trying to get him back into the workforce. It's something we see quite often. So I completely resonate with that. Now, shifting gears a little bit into the Social Standout Squad. Tell us about the Social Standout Squad and what it does and what that is.
Yes, I love this program so much. So I created the Standout Social Squad in 2020, I think. Yes, 2020. And essentially it's a program that helps my clients show up, stand out, and sell out on social media. I find that a lot of people who own businesses struggle with one of three things. They struggle with consistency, being able to show up consistently and knowing what to post, because you have so many hats in your business. You're fulfilling the job role, you're doing the service, you're marketing, you're jumping on discovery calls, you're doing the accounting, you're doing all these things, and marketing always ends up being the last thing on the list. And so showing up consistently is really, really hard. And so a way that you can fix that is having an exact plan, a content plan, and knowing exactly what to post every single day. So that's a really great thing that I love doing inside this program, is really helping my clients get consistent again, to stand out, to be able to really step into themselves, to really step into that leadership role. Because like I said, there are so many people on Instagram that do what you do. How do you stand out from Joe Blow down the road? It's by really honing in on who you are and why you do things differently. And so what we talk about is your unique methodology. So what is it that you do that is different to all the other people out there? And it may be a small tweak. It might be a small way that you do something, but it makes a big difference to that client and a big difference to the results that you get. And so if you're able to really nail down what your unique methodology is and why you are incredible at what you do, you're able to market that into something that makes you stand out on social media. And lastly, how to sell out, because selling on social media actually isn't hard. Everyone can do it. It's just understanding how you can do it. So it's really tapping into that marketing psychographics again and building out that quote unquote content funnel between a cold audience member who doesn't know anything about you to someone who's like hot, ready to buy, take my money, I want that. And so inside this program, we really take our clients through being able to show up confidently, to be able to stand out in their true right and who they are, and being able to sell out on repeat. And so that was a sort of motivation behind this program and how we help our clients with that.
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, some of the credibility is that a lot of people make big claims on, hey, I have this program, it's able to help you do X, Y, and Z. But to have someone who's actually done that thing, running the program to teach how to do that thing, is very powerful. So I love the program, and I'm excited to see you launch it once more and continue to see more about it, because I'm certainly excited to see it. Talk to me about Launch It. So the third part of your business is the course creation business, obviously most popularly known for Rise with Reels. You've also developed another course called Launch It. I would love to know a little bit about Launch It.
So Launch It is a course that I've created. So over the past few years, I have become really well known for launching courses and programs and selling out. One of our biggest launches within Rise with Reels was $250,000 in 1 week.
It's insane.
Can
verify, but insane still.
And that's the thing.
Refreshed zero.
Everyone's like, we need the receipts, and I'm like, Jacob, get me the receipts. They're in zero. So screenshot that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like we've been able to create a business that has the credibility, has the social standing to be able to sell out launches like crazy, but it's not luck. It's not chance. It's strategy.
100%.
It's strategy. It's a step-by-step process that we rinse and repeat. I've been able to rinse and repeat this with Rise with Reels. I've been able to rinse and repeat this with my Standout Social Squad, with Launch It now, with all of my different services and offerings, even with my event that I held, our Christmas event, the same thing.
Epic, by the way.
So
very
epic.
Good time. Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
But it isn't as hard as people think it is. And I think you see people online the big guns. You see these big, incredible people like Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher, all these amazing people that have these sell-out launches, you know, $1 million launches. But they have a massive team of like 25 people behind them.
Yeah,
they spend like $3 million on ads behind them, and they have all these things. Whereas for me, I don't have a team of 25 people. I don't spend any money on ads. Everything
Which
is
is
organic.
crazy, by the way. One of the craziest parts about your journey is this is with no paid ads.
No paid ads.
This is just organic, showing up.
No email marketing.
It's crazy. It blows my mind. But anyway.
No Google
Sorry,
AdWords.
Nothing.
No
nothing.
website for the first year and a half of my business.
There you go. No
Like,
website.
No website.
There you
It was
go.
just Instagram.
Controversial at the time, but
Oh my
100%.
gosh, I was bullied online for
there
that.
you go.
Because I didn't have a website and I was quote unquote not a real business.
There you go.
I didn't have a real website.
There you go.
But I just think she was low key jealous. But anyway, that's the thing. And so I was able to create and launch courses, and in most cases, I was able to launch courses that we hadn't even made yet.
Yeah. This is one of my next questions is going to be, talk to me about. So by the way, there's a couple of things I like what you just said there. Number one, you've done it without paid and no website and whatever. And the haters, whatever, like
Haters gone hate.
Haters gone hate. It's just a part of being a successful business owner, I'd say.
And it builds resilience, right? And at the
100%.
time, it cut me. It really did hit me to my core.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I'm not a real business owner. Maybe I should just shut up shop. And it really just made me think. It really made me doubt myself. And I could have gone one of two ways. I could have shut up shop and said, I'm not a real business owner. But I said, no, I've got a track record. I can do this. Let me keep going the way that I'm doing. And I had to put my blinders on. I had to. And it took me a good year to psychologically and emotionally get over the fact that I was bullied for this.
Yeah.
And then I realized, look, there is merit to what she says. You know, websites do build credibility, and that's exactly right. But I was coming into the scene to break that status quo, to say that all you need is an Instagram page that showcases who you are to be able to build a business. And I proved it. And now we moved to the next level, which was that website, which was the email marketing. And so a big thing, I think it's going to go into the next question. Start before you're ready.
Yeah, this was the question. So you talk about, it's one of my favorite books. As Bashara Hatum, who hopefully one day will be on this podcast as well, gave me this book when I first. I like you. I didn't want to start a business.
Yeah.
This wasn't what I set out to do. It just sort of, I found the problem. I thought we could solve it in a creative way, so I attacked it. And it talks about, it's the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and it talks about the MVP model. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about. And I just want to contrast this with, a lot of people think I'll just put this out and if it's shit, it's shit, and if it's good, it's good. But Monique is very, what you see hopefully is that she's very obsessed with making sure everything is on brand, that performs well, and takes a lot of care and effort into keeping that standard really, really high. How do you balance that with, I just got to get something together, I've got to get the MVP together, and I've got to test the market and see what the market wants and tweak? How do you balance those things?
Yes. So an MVP, for those of you who don't know, is minimum viable product or project, depending on what you're wanting to do with that. And so we all have big ideas.
Yes.
Big ideas. And I think it's really important for us to act on them, especially if we have these ideas that are reoccurring, because it's so easy for us to kind of sit on an idea and then see someone else do it and think, damn, I should have done that. Why didn't I not do that? And I've definitely felt that many times. But when you have this idea, it's so easy for us to think, okay, cool, I've got this really big idea for this big business or this big idea or this big course or project, and think, okay, well, I need to do everything for it right now. I need to have a website. I need to have a social media page. I need to have all my ducks in a row in order to launch this thing. When in actual fact, you don't. You really don't. The first thing that you need to do is first identify the problem and identify how you can solve that. So first, really identifying that solution that you can create. And you might think this solution is a massive thing. So for example, with Writer's Reels, the solution was a massive course that's going to teach people how to create Reels. But at that time, I didn't have the time or capacity to create this. And so I wanted to test the waters. And so what I did is I created a masterclass, a 60 to 90 minute masterclass that I sold for $50. And it sold out. I was just like, what the hell? And mind you, I had 5,000 followers at the time. Now I have 100,000.
I remember those days of Monique being at 5,000,
5,000 followers, and it sold out. I had the most amount of people I've ever had in anything before in my life. And I was like, what is happening? Yeah. So what this does, two things. An MVP allows you to create a smaller version of that big project that you want to create to be able to test the market. And this is really important because before you put all this time, money, and effort into creating the legit side of this offering, you can create something really fast, really quickly with a simple sales page that you can write.
That still delivers a ton of value,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Right, correct. So slap together, it will take you 1 hour to put together a really simple sales page with a checkout link that shows what the problem is, how you're going to solve it, what's inside this offering, come and buy. So that's the easy part. And then you need to market that.
Yeah.
So the marketing is always going to stay the same, depending on whether you are launching an MVP or a actual hardcore offering. There still needs to be the same sort of process, cold, warm, hot audience, same sort of thing. But the actual creation of it, put it out into the world, see how you go. If you get small reception, okay, cool. What is the problem? Is the offering the problem? Is the marketing the problem? You're able to reassess that and go again. If you find that you've hit the nail on the head from the get-go and people are frothing over what you have, amazing. This means that your product is viable. Let's go to the next stage. So you're able to then iterate. And this is a big thing that I learned as well with my uni degree, donkeys ago. Fail early and fail often.
Yeah. Those words were told to me at a young age, and I didn't get it because, like, failure. Why would I fail my exam?
It's bad. Like, you can't 100%. Fail.
But as soon as I realized the power of being a small business, part of it as well is that you have an advantage over the corporate who can't fail that
at
often,
all.
that quick, at all.
Yeah.
There's the follow-up book to the MVP, by the way, is called The Startup Way, and it's trying to get big organizations to stay in that MVP nimble phase, because that's where a lot of organizations just become stagnant and sort of just become too big to fail, but just sort of don't do anything more
monotonous
innovative.
and it's
exactly. So one of your biggest superpowers is doing that MVP, learning, figuring out the market. You're not too big to fail. You'll figure it out on the fly, and off you go. So
it's very much about that. And I think with Launch It, for example, every single course or offering that I create, I launch it before I create it. Every single one. Yeah. There's a few reasons for this.
Yes.
So you might be sitting here listening to this thinking, well, I have this really great idea, but it's going to take a lot to get it to market. It's going to take a lot to create it and do all the things, when in actual fact, the only thing that you need to be worrying about right now is marketing it.
Yeah.
And
you could have the best product in the world. No one knows about it. You're not going to sell it. You're not going to pay your bills.
Exactly right. And so with that marketing side comes the branding, in which you spoke about earlier. Like, how do you balance that fine line between making sure things are perfect, but also making sure you're getting it done and out there? And it comes down to branding, and it comes down to who you are as a business. And so understanding what your brand looks like, and then just popping that into whatever your offering is, and it becomes polished because it is you.
Yeah.
So that's the side. That's how I would dance that fine line.
Yeah.
But I launch before I create for a few reasons. One, what if it's a flop?
Yeah.
Everyone, even me,
100%
has that idea. What if it's a flop? And so launching it before you create it sort of puts your mind at ease that if it is a flop, it's okay. I haven't put too much effort and I haven't invested too much time into this. Yeah. So there's one massive...
which, by the way, is statistically more likely than not, it's going to be a flop. It's just so we know.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when you take that pressure off, oh my gosh.
Yeah, 100%.
It becomes fun.
Yeah.
It becomes easy.
Yeah.
And most times it becomes a sellout because you are taking it from the perspective of, let's just go out and let's do it. Let's have fun with it.
100%.
That energy shift that you have when you're launching something, people buy your energy. I cannot tell you how many times people come to me and they say, I want to work with you for your energy. I don't care what I get into. I just want that energy. I need that energy. And when you come from a place of launching something with that energy, it's going to pay off. So that's number one. Number two, creating the product is exhausting. It can take a lot of brain power, a lot of late nights. I've definitely been there. And if you're going to create something and then launch it straight away, you already come in exhausted. That energy is going to be zapped and you're not going to find the outcome that you want. So what I find is if you launch it first, yes, launching takes energy 100%. But if you launch it first and you have people in there, you now have accountability to get it done.
Yeah.
That's another great reason.
You have a deadline.
You've got to meet that deadline. And so for me, I thrive under pressure. I love pressure. Give me pressure. Yeah. Give me something to do in a month's time. I will not do it until the week.
Parkinson's law. Give me as much time, and I'll fill it with the time it takes me to do.
Correct.
The thing.
Right. And I always find I do my best work when it's right up to the deadline because I don't overthink things, etc. And so you get up until the end, and the great thing about launching and then creating is that you have a feedback loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as people are going through this course or this program, or they're experiencing your service, they're able to give you feedback as you go. And so you might be sitting here thinking that, okay, cool, I'm a beautician and I want to introduce this new program or this new service to my clients. Put it out there, get a few people into it, get their feedback, and keep improving it as you go. It's called an iteration.
Yeah. Yeah.
No business should have one offering that stays the same forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
The beauty of being in business and this idea of that feedback loop is that you can iterate it as you go to be able to give your clients and your customers the best experience possible and get them the best result, whilst also allowing you to become the leader in the space as well.
Yeah, that to me in a nutshell, everything you've just said there, that is business. That hypothesis, does this work? Is this going to sell? Do I have product market fit? Are people going to buy it? Creating a better value proposition, just constantly improving. One of the biggest successes in business is literally constantly improving, like you're saying. So I think it speaks volumes of who you are as a person and your ability to test something, see what happens, and keep moving and keep growing. So I love that. Shifting gears away a little bit from your business and just sort of peeling the curtains a little bit and getting behind the scenes, there's a couple more questions I've got for you. Number one is, business, everything we've just talked about is hyper positive. You, when you present yourself online, super positive, super energetic, which, by the way, the energetic is one of our core values at Latitude, is attractive, is the A of our track, but attractive. Energy in business is, it's so difficult. I would do anything to have that energy in business. To, you just walk in a room and there's a movement. People, it's almost a different, it's electric, right? So they're all the positive sort of sides of business. But we had a call this week where you're dealing with some crisis. Something's happening in the business, whether it be business or personal or whatever. Business is always rainbows and butterflies. I keep thinking of the Rocky quote so it's not about how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
How do you manage crisis, whether that be in a business, personal level, whatever's happening around you? How do you find the resilience to keep moving forward? Part of it, I think, is genuinely from your upbringing and just finding that place in you that just keeps moving. How do you deal with crisis? How do you do crisis management?
I'm going to speak about the experience that happened this week.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a really great perspective as to, you could lose everything in one moment, but then keep going, right?
Yeah.
On Monday this week, my Instagram page got permanently deleted by Instagram.
Crazy.
I was on my team meeting and I got an email that popped up in the corner of my screen and it said, your Instagram page has been suspended. And automatically I was like, hold on guys, one moment, let me just fill out this form. Fill out a form. Within 5 minutes it came back saying, we can't verify this. Your Instagram has been permanently deleted. You can no longer review this. That's our final decision.
That's the equivalent, just to give you some perspective, we actually talked about it. I got off the phone with you and I went into John's office and I said, I've just asked her to do the podcast, but I don't know if I'm going to get her. A, that's not important. B, because that this is happening. And he's like, bro, that's like us losing our ability to practice, or that's your business being
gone,
turned
taken,
off.
Turned off.
Yeah.
Like my business is Instagram.
You providing your income for your family, supporting, paying the bill. Imagine that being turned off in 1 second with no reason.
No reason, and just an email.
Yeah.
Imagine like someone just coming to you and just being like, hey, we're closing your business. Catch ya, move out today.
Peace.
See ya. And that's exactly what happened. I have 100,000 followers and there was no way for me to contact them at all, which is now I'm like, there is so much value in an email list. And I'm like, damn it, get on the email list, people. So look, huge lesson for me that I had to learn. But in that moment, I was on the call and I said, guys, I need to deal with this. And I kind of went into a little bit of a shock mode. I just kind of was like, what's happening? I went out of my office and I said to my husband, I walked out like someone had died. And I'm like, it's gone. and he's there like working. And he's like, what do you mean it's gone?
The apple, the fruit.
Yeah, like what's gone? Yeah. Did you like lose a nail? Like what happened?
Yeah.
I'm like, my Instagram page is gone. I have never seen him. He ripped off his headphones, threw away his laptop and ran into my office in like, okay, cool. What can we do? And I just sat there. Look, I cried. 5 minutes. I had a little pity party, cried for myself for a bit because I was in just shock that this was just gone. You search my name, not there, gone.
Yeah.
And then I had that 5-minute pity party. And then I was like, okay, Anthony, get out of my seat. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I just grabbed my laptop, wiped away my tears, and I was on it. And I was like, okay, cool. Critically, what would I do in this situation? Who are the people that I know that have done this before? Who can I reach out to? So I reached out to her. What can I do? What can I research? I YouTubed, forum. Obviously, I've never dealt with this before.
Yeah.
Forums, just finding anywhere. Somehow, I got on the phone with Instagram.
There you go, with Mark Zuckerberg.
No, the Zuck building his little combat, whatever he's building in Hawaii at the moment. Yeah. Mind you, you can't get on a phone call with Instagram or Facebook. Stories. You cannot. There is no support. You cannot. And I did. And it's kind of like Anthony was like, okay, well, Monique, do you want to make a new Instagram page right now? Why don't you take a break, go have some lunch? I'm like, no, this needs to be done. Yeah. It needs to be done. I'm going to work and we're going to get this done right now. And so it's just a switch that's in me that I just kind of get my laptop and I go and I'm in fire putting out mode. And so got on the phone with Instagram and they didn't seem too fast. They're like, oh, we'll see what we can do. I'm like, what do you mean? You will see what you can do. This is my business. And I was quite calm. I'm very happy with myself. I'm very much a 0 to 100 kind of person. I'm a Gemini. So it's just sometimes I'm like, this needs to happen now. But I was very proud of myself, very calm, being like, okay, well, here's the situation, here's what happened. He goes, cool, let you know. I was like, well, when can you let me know? And he goes, 24 to 48 hours. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you, bye. And I answered the call and I was like, I need to keep on going. So I'm there, forums, I'm doing new things. I was this close to sending an email to like our Attorney General because apparently that's what you need to be doing. This is
what you told me. Yeah.
And I got an email from Instagram. We're so sorry that we deleted your account. It is now reinstated. Got a phone call back from Instagram saying, hey, we've reinstated your account. Can you give us feedback? And I'm like, heck yes. This has been the best experience ever. You guys are geniuses. Let's go. But like that's an example where, of course, it's going to impact you. This is my business. This has been so entwined into who I am for the past 5.5 years that Monique, who is Monique without Socialista, which is also very hard sometimes to say, but I am working on that. But you have your pity party for 5 minutes and then you go into, okay, well, what needs to happen? What needs to happen? People are relying on me. My husband's relying on me. My team members are relying on me. I'm relying on me. My clients are relying on me. What do I do here? And you just put that critical thinking hat on and you just get it done.
Love it.
Just get it done, and that's what happens. And
love it.
Yeah, very stressful. My cortisol levels were through the roof.
I can imagine. If Instagram are listening, do you want to pay the medical bills?
Honestly, can you pay? Like, I'm going to need some psychological help after that. Honestly, but no, it was a very crazy experience, and I definitely think looking back that I handled it really well, and I think it just showcases how I do things in life. I can have that 5-minute pity party in that moment of shock, and it's so granted. I think people think, okay, well, things happen and I can't be upset. You can be upset. This is your business. This is your life.
Yeah, 100%.
But get back up.
Yeah.
Get back up fast.
Absolutely. Love it. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I think I saw it live. I'm glad you saw the story because I saw it in a live time. You at the point of that story, it was like, I'm calling the Attorney General. I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but sure, let's get on the phone to them. That was very good. And
then you messaged me. You were one of the first people, like 3 people messaged me. I hadn't told anyone because obviously I can't speak to anyone. You messaged me, you're back. And I'm hold on, I'm just trying to get everything sorted. And I replied back, I'm back.
I'm back, baby. No, that's very good. All right, so final question that I've got for you. Is you mentioned him a couple of times in that story as someone that is there with you in those deepest, darkest crisis mode moments, and he's someone that John and I were at your Christmas party. There was 4 males there, which was by the way,
life of the party.
We had a great time, and he's one of them. And so during, I'm going to say his name, obviously you know him, Mr. Socialista, Anthony Forcella. Yes. So Anthony is the kind of guy. One of the best blokes you'll ever meet, one of the nicest blokes. And so we talked to him and we asked him the question, what's it like being married to Monique? Is she is it like what it seems? Like, is she as energetic? Like, is it full on? Is it laid back? What's the dynamic like? Like, tell us about it. And he says, honestly, he goes, man, one of the best stories I have is during COVID 2020, he works in commercial real estate a little bit, and so obviously that was taking a bit of a hit at the time, and the Socialista was blowing up like crazy. He goes, bro, I was so close to applying to MasterChef. I was cooking that many meals. I was doing that much hot food that I thought, you know what, I'll give MasterChef a crack, and that's how I'll support their family. And I died. It was very funny. But how important is it to have that support? Like I always say, even in my business, I could not have done a tenth of what I could have done without my family, without my wife, without her making some of the sacrifices that she's made. What's it like? How important is that, having that support network and that partner, supportive partner, or some supportive close person, someone close to you that's supportive of what you're doing?
Great question. So there are two people in my life that I attribute to, one, the business and then the success of the business. And one of them is my mum, because she was like, well, Monique, you've got a roof over your head. Start the business. What can go wrong? Do it. So she's a real catalyst that helped me start the business, because obviously you have doubts. And then Anthony's the one who is just like the day-to-day. I couldn't do this without him. Yeah. So during COVID, I was working the amount of hours that you would never even see.
24/7.
24/7, like 7 a.m. till 2 a.m. every single day. Yeah. It was a time everyone was moving online and we were the ones. And so you have to switch on. There were days where I wouldn't eat lunch at all because I was just so back to back with work. He would open my door in my office. He would slide hot food. He'd make an omelette. He'd make something for me. And he'd slide a plate of hot food next to the door and close the door and walk out.
And go back and play COD.
Go back and play Call of Duty. Seriously, I used to get so annoyed at him because I'd be like, I'm here slaving away. I'm doing all these things and you're out here playing COD? What are you talking about? Yeah. I wouldn't trade it because I don't want to play COD. Yeah. But like I'd like a bit of a break sometime. Anyway, so he was definitely the backbone in the business where it was crazy, but he is a big decision maker in my business. Yeah, right. I sometimes struggle to make decisions. And he comes from a business and marketing background as well. So he studied business in school, in uni. And so he's got a really great analytical mind.
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. And I think he and I together really balance each other out, where I'm very much strategic but very creative, and he's very strategic and analytical. He loves numbers. And so having us together is really like a powerhouse. And no one actually sees how much he does behind the scenes for the business. 100%. And like, for example, when we're hiring a new team member, I'm like, Anthony, come to my office. He goes, okay. He doesn't even know anything. He goes, okay. He gets there. He's got his coffee. He sits down on the lounge. And I'm like, okay, cool. Here are my candidates. Let's go through them. Yeah. And he plays devil's advocate and he asks me questions, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, can you just like for once just agree with what I want?
Yeah. I've seen this in real time, by the way. Like he's extremely analytical. He's extremely logical, rational, pragmatic, step by step. Let's just, have we considered this? Have we considered this? Have we considered this? Okay, let's go. Very, very much like that. And I think I ask because I know you both personally, but I think in business you need a yin and yang. Yes. You need that, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a key employee, whether it's a support network like you have. Anthony, honestly, is behind the scenes, not the CEO, but like he's definitely involved in operations and is that balancing sounding board when you need him. So I think if you are a creative or if you are a logical person, you need the opposite around you. Whether you surround yourself with a team member. Monique took it to the next degree and got married to someone who complements her.
I am now stuck with him for life, unfortunately.
Very good.
But that's the whole reason why I getting it personal here, but I was the kind of person who would date someone and then just get bored and move to the next person. I just wasn't the kind of person. I never wanted to get married ever. I saw my parents go through a really crazy divorce and, obviously my dad moved away. I didn't have a dad for a long time of my life, like physically here. And I never wanted that for my life. I never wanted to have kids. I never wanted to get married. That was never an intention of my life because I saw how much it affected me when I was growing up. I was only young, and so I remember one day driving in the car and in Wetherill Park, is where I grew up, there's this big complex of wedding dress shops. And if you're from the West, you probably know what I'm talking about. And one day I was driving to work in that area and I saw this bridal shop and I was like, oh, one day I'll put on that dress. And I was like, oh,
How dare I?
What?
Yeah.
And then my friend asked me, because she's a best friend from high school, and we lost touch for a long time, and she came to my 21st birthday, and she saw him, and we'd been together at this point for about a year and a half, and she goes, Monique, what is it about him?
Yeah.
Like, why are you with him? Like, I've never seen you with anyone as long as him. It's because he challenges me. That's a big reason why I'm with him, and a big reason why I've married him is because he is that opposite person to me. And he makes so many big decisions in my business that I don't make, and he's very logical, and he does hold space for me because I can be a bit more emotional than what he is. And he holds space for me to be able to have that moment where I am feeling down and then be like, hey, cool, let's get back up again, and what can we do from here? What has this taught you, and what can we do, and what processes can we put in place? And so when shit hits the fan in my business, he's the first one in my office on my laptop. He's the first person.
Yeah.
First person. And so it's so important to have that support network. And now I'm fortunate enough to have a team behind me who can also be a part of that. But there's no way I could run my business as it is right now without Anthony in my back corner. There is just no one I'd rather run this business with. We joke around a lot about him being Mr. Socialista. He really is. Yeah. He's in a lot of my reels, even though he doesn't want to be. He low-key loves it. He low-key loves it. There's a real...
I'm not sure that's what he tells us, but I'll have to ask him. We'll have to get him on the podcast one day. We'll get the real dirt. We'll get the real tea.
There's a reel of him where I'm like, Anthony, there's a video. We're like dancing in the park, but can you please be in it?
That's so funny.
And I have to convince him. He goes, I'll just be in the background on my laptop, so I'm just there. And so now he actually like does little bits and pieces with me, but he'll be like,
baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. Where he goes, I'm like, oh, do this. And he goes, no, can I just lift you up?
Yeah.
And I can just be serious. Yeah. Okay, you can do that. And everyone, like, whenever he's on a video, everyone's like, it's Mr. Socialista.
Yeah. They love it. The audience, I'll see the comments. They love it. Very good.
So it's good. Very blessed.
Awesome. I love hearing that. And I think, like you said, yin and the yang, but on a value basis, the exactly same. I would say value-wise, very, very similar people, aligned on values, even in organizations, aligned on values, but different in the way you process issues and the way you manage and the way you operate.
I think...
Agreed?
Yeah, and I think with that, we're both Christians, and so one thing that we're really passionate about is being equally yoked. And we talk about that in the Bible, where it's like, two people come together, they leave their family, and they build their own life. And I think that's very much what we do in both business and life. For sure. We're very equally yoked in terms of what our goals and missions are in the business and in life and as people. And I think it comes back to who we are as people. We hold our values very, very true to who we are. And I think that comes out in our businesses. Like he's got his own stuff in as a commercial real estate agent, and then my own business, but he's also a part of that too. And I think our values in who we are as people and what we value in life comes through that. And I think that's a big testament as to why we've been successful in what we've been doing as well.
Absolutely love it. Well, on that note, I'm glad I got to peel back the curtains a little bit and see behind the scenes of the Socialista. The time has flown. And I've loved having you on. But I just want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for opening up and spilling the beans on. You haven't really held back, and a lot of these questions I've sort of sprung on you. I gave you a list of questions to do a little bit of research, but most of these are first time. So thank you for coming on the podcast. And where can people find you if they're looking to find the Socialista? You can find me on Instagram at the Socialista with an underscore at the end. You can find me on Google, because we all know that Instagram, they one day decide they don't like me anymore. You can find me at www.thesocialista.com.au, where we can chat, we can connect and all the things. But yeah, if you want to see a bit more of an insight into what we do and things like that, Instagram is the best place to go. So watch this space. Exciting things happening, cool things happening in the new year. But thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. You're a good accountant. You're a good accountant. I go all right. I do my best. And you're great at reels. So thank you for allowing me to record your reels. Thank you. And just trusting the process, because it's fun. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.